Hi, this is Buddy Blackman with Fayetteville Real Estate School, and we're going to talk today about interim interest. We're going to talk about interest in general. Here on my screen, we have the internet definition of what interest is on a loan. I have some new real estate brokers here on the line with me. Interest is the price you pay to borrow money. All right, as interest as far as concerning a loan, interest is the price you pay to the bank or lender to borrow money. When a lender provides a loan, they make a profit off the interest paid on top of the original loan amount. Interest rates affect the true amount you pay for homes, cars, other purchases made with credit. There's two types of interest that we have to deal with here in real estate. One of them is interim interest. I have on my screen right here, interim interest, and then there's accrued interest. Interim interest and accrued interest. So let me share, and I'm going to do a whiteboard here so I can draw on my screen here. And let's talk about this. When you make your regular loan payment, once you have closed on your home and you are making your loan payment, when you are making your loan payment for the month of July, your payment is due the 1st. When you're making your payment for July, you're paying the interest from the previous 30 days or whatever the true days are for the month. So as far as real estate school, we use a 30-day month calendar and a 360-year calendar. Just to keep it simple, easy to calculate. In real life, of course, we use a regular calendar days. So when you are making your mortgage payment on your home on July 1st, you are paying principal and you are paying accrued interest from the previous 30 days. That is what your loan payment on July 1st consists of. All right. And that is accrued interest. We're going to look at the internet definition of that in just a second too, but let's now talk about interim interest, because that's what we have to calculate. And that is what we're going to calculate today and figure out how to calculate. So let's say you are closing on your home on June the 20th. You're closing on June the 20th. The bank, you're getting a loan, and the bank is going to give you money on the day you close, June 20th. All right, let's ask one of our students here, Allie, if the bank is giving you money on June the 20th, do you think that they want to start collecting interest or profit from that loan on June 20th?
Definitely.
Definitely, that is correct. They're not going to give you any money for free on any days. So interim interest includes the day of closing. We're closing July 20th to the end of that current month, which as far as real estate school is concerned, would be June 30th. All right. So June 20th, we close. Accrued interim interest would be from June 20th to June 30th. And then we would start our accrued interest for our July 1st payment. If we close June 20th, our first payment would be August 1st. First payment would be August 1st because we would skip the following month because that is when we accrue our interest, and that will be on our August 1st payment. So the trick and the common mistake that students make when computing accrued interest is counting the number of days. So this is the first thing we need to do, is count the number of days. Remember, it counts the day of closing to the end of that current month. As far as real estate school is concerned, we're always going to use the 30th. June 20th to June 30th. June 20th to June 30th. And if you first look at this, you're like, oh, that's 10 days. Well, it's not really 10 days. Now, I always count the days in the shape of a die. So a die or dice looks like this, right? So that's 5 on a dice. So I count dice. And I count June 20th because we have to count that the day of close, June 20th, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30th. So that shows me that is actually 11 days of interim interest that we're going to have to account for. 11 days of interim interest. So that is the first thing you do in computing interim interest is count how many days. Now let's jump back and we'll see our actual, if I can jump back here. Interim interest. Mortgage interest refers to the interest that accrues on your mortgage between the closing date and the date of record. This is the time between you close on the mortgage and the end of the month. All right. So basically that is a good definition right there. Mortgage interest, my short version of the interim interest definition, mortgage interest from the day of closing to the end of that current month that you close. Interim interest from the day of closing to that current month. Now we're not going to talk about accrued interest, or not going to compute accrued interest today, but you do need to know the difference of interim interest and accrued interest. Accrued interest, when it comes to loans, accrued interest is the amount of unpaid interest that has built up since you last made a payment. In the context, student loans, we're not going to talk about student loans, but accrued interest. So if we closed back here on June 20th, we're going to pay interest from June 20th to June 30th. That's interim interest. We're going to skip the month of July. We will not have a payment, a mortgage payment in July. It will accrue all of that interest for July. And on August 1st, we'll pay our first actual mortgage payments, which will include the accrued interest from July. And that is accrued interest. So we're going to calculate interim interest today. All right, so let's erase this one more time. And let's go back and let's say we are closing June 20th. And we've already counted the days. It's 11 days. You must get this correct or you'll get the problem wrong. If you chose 10 days and do the calculations based off of 10 days, then that wrong answer will be on the test and you'll get the problem wrong. So you must calculate the days correctly for interim interest. All right, so now once we have the number of days, now we're going to calculate the dollar amount. So in order to calculate interest, we know that the formula is loan amount times the interest rate. Loan amount times the interest rate is the formula to calculate interest. That formula, loan amount times interest rate, will yield us the interest for a year. For a year. Interest for a year. All right, so the loan amount times the interest rate will give us interest for a year. And Brandy, we know that we've got to do 11 days. How will we break down this interest for a year to a daily amount?
You times it by 360. Right.
We're going to times it, or we're going to divide it by 360?
Or you divide it by 360.
We're going to divide it by 360 because as far as real estate school is, there's 360 days in a year. So that interest for a year, we're going to divide it by 360. We're going to leave all those decimal places in our calculator, and we're going to multiply that by 11 days. So do not round up. If you want the exact number and you want your answer to come out exactly as it is on the test, then do not round up yet. All right, so that's why we count the days first. Then we're going to loan amount times the interest rate. That will give us interest for a year. We're going to divide that by 360 and leave all those decimal places in there. And so let's do an example of that. Let's say your client is buying a $275,000 house. That is their purchase price. That is not the loan amount. They're getting an 80% loan to value. And let's jump over to Jessica. Jessica, I now need to calculate the loan amount. If the purchase price is 275 and it's an 80% loan to value, how do I get the loan amount? You got to come off of mute there.
Times 275 times 80%.
That is correct. So we're going to multiply 275,000, which is our purchase price, times the 80% loan to value. And someone with a calculator, what does that come up to?
220,000.
So the loan amount is 220,000. Now on the problem, it'll give us it'll probably give us the purchase price. It'll give us the loan to value, which then we can calculate the loan amount. I'm gonna put on here, LA loan amount. And it'll also give us the interest rate. So let's say the interest rate right now is 6.2%. And so now we would multiply 220,000 times 6.2 and hit the percent key. And that gives us a yearly interest rate, interest for a year of $13,640. Did I do that correctly? Anybody? Yep. Okay. $13,640 is interest for a year. And then I see that I have to divide it by 360, divided by 360. And that equals 37.8888888. You leave all those decimal places in your calculator, and we know it's 11 days. So now we multiply that by 11, and that gives us interim interest for this buyer closing on June 20th, interim interest of $416. And we're going to round this up because the bank's not going to give you any half penny. So it would be 416.78 would be the answer to this. 416.7 rounded up. Now's when we round. $416.78 would be the answer. Interim interest. All right. Again, interim interest from the day of closing to the end of that current month, which is June 30th. We count the days, make sure that we count the day of closing. And then we get the loan amount times the interest rate, gives us interest for a year. We divide that by 360. We'll also have to get our loan amount. And then divide that by 360. That gives us the daily rate of interest. Multiply that by the number of days and round up then. And that is our answer. That is how you calculate interim interest. You will have to do this on the pre-licensing class test and your post-licensing test. So that is interim interest. Thank you for joining us today.